question, mate. Okay, we got you, Richard. Say something.
Welcome to Insight into Mental Health. I'm the co-host, Richard Phelps. Bob will be on set shortly.
You too, man.
We are going to have a special about our first co-host, Jamie Ballou. He passed away 1 week before Christmas in 2009, and this will be a memorial to his participation in the show, how he got interested, and a little bit about his background. And it brings back a lot of memories for me because I knew Jamie about early 2008. He was a computer programmer, which I am not. I can fix computers, but I'm not a programmer, folks. But he was dealing with mental health issues and a lot of personal stress, and he was very open about it on the show. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight once Bob gets back on the set. In the meantime, I just want to mention that we're getting a call here. Okay, Jake, which button do I push?
Top right. Top right.
Oh, I see it.
Yep.
Welcome to Insight into Mental Health. How can we help you?
Well, I'm trying to reach Devil B. Billy Boudreaux, the Cajun Cowboy.
Oh, that's the next hour.
That is the next hour at 9 o'clock.
Oh.
9 o'clock Central.
9 o'clock Central Time.
It's 9 o'clock here, so.
Yeah, you're 1 hour ahead of us there, so try back.
Oh, my bad. What's your show about?
We talk about mental health issues from a layperson's viewpoint. I'm a trained facilitator through National Alliance on Mental Illness. I got the training in March, and it's been a real experience because a lot of folks, at least in this area, are having trouble getting access to psychiatrists and psychologists. A lot of the older ones are retiring, and Medicare, for whatever reason, has cut some of them out of the picture as far as providing services. So our support group, which is peer-to-peer, is basically their go-to for mental health issues. You know, we're not therapists, we're not counselors, but it's really helped. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Florida.
Did you used to live here in Lafayette?
No, but that guy, Billy Boudreaux, the wrestling guy.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a friend of mine, and I gotta tell you though, I have military experience. I was in the Army, got booted out of the Army. I wound up being a civilian subcontractor for the DEA.
Okay.
You know, in South America for the war on drugs and blah, blah, blah.
So
and I wasn't calling to bring that all out.
are you dealing with some PTSD or other issues from your time in the service?
Well, I got a whole bunch of PTSD, dude.
Okay. If you have something to write with, I'm going to give you a website.
No, don't worry about it. I'm
Okay.
good.
Can you remember NAMI.org? Because we got a roll on the show here.
No, I can remember that, and I am very sorry.
Okay.
NAMI.org.
Interrupting your show.
Okay.
Take care, man.
Take care, caller. Thank you. Okay.
We have to hit it twice, Jake?
Nope, I think just once.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back again. I'm Bob Avenue, and as y'all know, this is a laid-back show, and you know, I'm the host and the producer and owner of the show. I guess I started it 11 years ago with my very best friend of all time, Jamie Ballou, who we will be giving a tribute to tonight. And I would like to introduce my compadre and good friend, my best friend now, Richard Phelps. And Richard, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I got a request from this guy named Bobby Avenue to help out on the show. I heard about him through Tom Parker. I used to volunteer for him way back in 2003. Can you all believe that's 13 years ago?
Wow.
And back in the day, we were still in the old library on 124 East Main. And back in these analog days, I could still work the audio and video switcher. But now that little screen called the TriCaster is too small for me to see. I'm blind in my left eye and tunnel vision on my right. So I let others like Lucille and Jacob take over on that little function.
And we would like to thank Jacob White, who has been a terrific friend to all of us, class act guy, along with Ed Bowie, class act people at AOC. We thank them for their help. And Richard is also your connoisseur of food and music, huh?
And I like to cook my own stuff. My favorite, this sounds crazy, I love to mess around with portobello mushrooms, the big ones.
Yeah.
And you can make pizza out of those things. So if you're really on a cheap budget and can't afford that steak, I'm serious, you can do some really wild stuff with portobellos.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard.
All right.
But now we start off with prayer to start off the show. I would like to ask prayers from Miss Ann DeMai. Miss Ann DeMai is a marvelous lady. They got some fantastic women from St. Martinville and Lafayette too. Miss Ann DeMai was the wife of Dr. Bernard DeMai, who delivered my dad's 7 kids, and I grew up with the DeMai boys, Douglas, Paul, Edward, Bernard, Jimmy. I knew those guys. They were great, really nice family. A class act Christian family. Miss Ann is a wonderful lady, and she has 4 beautiful daughters, Carmen, Ann, Katie, and Marie, and wonderful people. And I spent time with them for Thanksgiving, and it was a joy. So ask prayers for the DeMai family and Miss Ann, and also for Patsy Bertrand. Patsy put up with me in my dark years, where I would just go to the house, sit down at the counter, and not talk to anybody. And Patsy put up with it, just stare. I was smoking like that much. Cigarettes, 4 packs a day, and just hurting emotionally and wanted somebody to talk to. And Patsy always talked to me. And even though, she wanted to shoot me at times, she never did. And she was never raised her voice to me, never ugly. And she was one of the most beautiful women to ever come out of St. Martinville, internally and externally. So I ask for prayers for Patsy. She lost some of her children, who I miss dearly. And Patsy is a great lady. And another great lady is Miss Jackie Ballou, whose son, Jamie, started this television show with me 11 years ago, that passed away a few years ago. And this is a tribute to Jamie. And Miss Jackie has always been there for me. She's a beautiful lady. They got some class act older ladies in this world. I don't know about the younger ones, that's kind of scary. But, they got some beautiful ladies, older ladies in the world. Like my mom was fantastic. And I also like to ask for prayers for Denver Nobles and Rosen Nobles, 2 of the leaders of the NAMI group that me and Richard go to. Tell them where they meet.
Well, we are actually having our next NAMI Connections group meeting this Sunday. Is the first and third Sundays they meet. So this is the 3rd Sunday at First Lutheran Church, 301 West Farrell Road, and that doesn't give you a clue. We're right behind the Academy Sports off of Settlers Trace and Ambassador. There is a second group, Friends and Family, for those who know someone who has mental health issues. The first group again is for those who have mental health issues. Both groups are facilitated by National Alliance on Mental Illness, trained and certified volunteer facilitators. We're not counselors, we're not therapists. We're just there to help
Group
learn
therapy
from each other.
Yes. Thank you, Richard. And also, I'd like to ask for prayers for Lucille Fournette, the Fournettes in St. Martinville. Dr. Fournette, who's been around, I think he was about 90 and still practicing, passed away. He was an icon in St. Martinville. And Lucille was his daughter-in-law, and Lucille is our director, so we ask for prayers for her family and his family. And also prayers for Mike Pritchard, who is a friend of mine. Mike went through some difficulties. He's from St. Martinville. Great guy. And also for my friend Jimmy Collada. Jimmy had a stroke a few months ago and is enduring it, and we ask for prayers. And we know we go out to 500,000 homes, so I know some people are praying. And then also I ask for prayers for me and Gerald Laverne and Jerry the Planters for Saturday, because we're going to the New Orleans bowl game.
Cool.
New Orleans Bowl, to see the UL football players play. So I ask for prayers for us.
Is that outdoors or indoors?
That's indoors. The Superdome.
Good.
That's indoors.
Because there's going to be thunderstorms Saturday, so y'all be careful on the road.
Yes.
I do have a prayer request. I could not remember the name of this person, but I was informed that someone in the community had a stroke and is unconscious. The first name has slipped my mind, but to keep the family in prayer. And a lot of folks that we know have lost loved ones right around Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. There's a group called griefshare.org. It has a support group that goes for 14 weeks on how to deal with issues of grief, and especially around the holidays. There's a presentation I missed called Surviving the Holidays. Mm-hmm. Look in your search engine for that and see if there's any remaining seminars.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. Okay, I want my publicist, Jalen Tompkins, suggested I read my book, Mental Illness, God and Healing, to y'all, because this is a show on mental illness, right, Rich?
Yes.
Mental illness, according to the National Institute of Mental Health and Statistics, from a 2013 survey, estimated 43.8 million adults 18 years and older have a mental illness. AMI affects 1/4 of the population, regardless of race, education, wealth, or status, with both men and women being affected. The majority of the mentally ill live alone, with most living in extreme poverty. Although psychologists have taken great strides over the years in treating these illnesses with medicine and therapy, scientists and doctors are still learning about these illnesses and the different alternatives in treating them. There's a lot of knowledge and research being found out about the different illnesses. And I would like to read what I wrote in my book about how, if you have a mental illness, and you'll attest to this, how spirituality and God can help. What I do know about God is that He is an all-loving God, cares so much for us that He sacrificed His Son Jesus on the cross to give us a chance for happiness and success, both in this life and also in the afterlife. If one repents of his sins and asks God to come into his life and be the Lord of his life and follows and believes on Him, he will one day be in heaven with Him. Now I know that this is not a religious book by any means, as I'm not a proponent of any man-made religion. I just believe in Jesus. Like I've said, that even though Jesus doesn't seem to be there to help me in every aspect of my life, and with the schizophrenia that I go through, much suffering, with sometimes and no knowledge that He's around to help me. But you people, listen to me what I say. To that matter, that sometimes He doesn't seem to be around or even care, and I know many of you believers sometimes feel like that. He is there, just trust Him. I will say to you, friends, that sometimes Jesus leaves us alone to build more character in us and to make us stronger in our walk with Him, like the Bible says, when I am weak, then I am strong. So I say, don't be discouraged in difficult times. If you're a believer, you're developing temperance and getting stronger. If you truly believe, blessings will be coming to you. Since I'm writing about the different mental illnesses and will shortly go on to that venue, I am so adamant about the spiritual relationship I have developed with this marvelous entity, the created Jesus, that I have written this book to show and teach that besides all the psychology, medicine, and therapy in treating the mental illnesses, dwelling on the spiritual aspects of one life, like the 12-step programs say, the higher power, or other people say the universe, I would say it becomes an asset in the healing of the mentally disturbed. Of course, like I've repeated over and over, my spiritualism comes in my relationship to Jesus. So I say to you lovely people, try it, it works. How else do you people think that a guy who only knew love from his mom, never taken seriously, with a history of neglect, abuse, and rejection all his life, a literal outcast, until Mike Fugely entered my life receiving. I was given an introduction to the world of the Spirit and introduced to Jesus, a marvelous entity who since meeting my life has never been the same. That's in my book, Mental Illness, God, and Healing. And you know, how does that sound, Richard?
It summarizes what's going on in this country, and you know, 1 out of 4 people with a mental health condition. Now, what that's like in Europe is probably much the same. Unfortunately, in certain despotic countries, like in the Middle East or communist countries, we have no idea how those with mental illness are treated, especially under some of the countries that are under ISIS. It's probably not even addressed, or if it is,
I'm sure it's
in a
not.
horrific way.
Yeah.
So we are
blessed to be in America.
We are having funding challenges for mental health, don't get me wrong, and we need to implore our representatives, our senators, and the new president to keep mental health as the top agenda, because this is something affecting more Americans than even some physical diseases.
And also, now that it's the holidays, we will be trying to cover this about, if we can, about how you feel during the holidays, because a lot of people feel depression. But to start off, we're going to start off with my buddy, Jamie Ballou. Jacob, you there?
Want me to go get him?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Bob.
Okay. I don't know what happened to our guy. So let me go on. While images of love and joy fill storefronts, TV screens, and magazine pages for many people, the reality of the holidays isn't so cheerful. Between stressful end-of-year deadlines, family dysfunction, and loss, poor eating and drinking habits, and increasingly cold and dark winter days, it's easy for the holiday. He's there?
Yes.
Okay. I was reading about how it is in the holiday. Okay, Jacob, if you can show some clips for me and Jamie. Okay. welcome to Insight into Mental Health. I'm Bob Bienvenu, your host, and this is Jamie Bullard, your host. And Jamie and I are both mental health advocates, and we're out here to tell you people from our experiences, our research, and our understanding what we think to help y'all learn what mental illness is, from going from schizophrenia to bipolar, Jamie, to let's see what else.
Bipolar Jamie, was that?
No, I'm just saying bipolar Jamie. Schizoaffective, different disorders, multiple personality, borderline personality disorder. Anyway, we're here to help.
Of which we skipped a few and don't have any more. So if you want to see the first show, stay tuned. Because if you have any suggestions you'd like to see a show on, tell us, because we've covered all the major ones. We're just trying to find the stragglers.
Yes, if y'all have any suggestions for us to research and go on the show with some kind of topic, y'all welcome to call in and tell us, right, Jamie?
Right, Bob.
Thank you, Jamie. So if y'all interested, we would really appreciate the feedback. And
especially if you have a diagnosis and you're willing to come on the show maybe and talk about it, we would really like that a lot.
Oh yes, if anyone has a diagnosis and wants to come on the show, you're welcome to come. And anyone's welcome to call. From what we've learned, some people are reluctant to call and let their names be known or let their voices be recognized.
I know, they're just paranoid.
Yeah, just paranoid
No
about...
one's going to recognize their voice. I mean, if so, why don't they just, like, I don't know, put some towel on the phone.
Yeah.
Or something where it's muffled. But, yeah, no one's going to find it. Not on the telephone.
Yeah. Well, some people might recognize their voice. I recognize some people's voices that call.
Yeah, but those are close friends of ours.
Those are close friends. Nobody
that already
else will,
know that we have a diagnosis. So
Yes.
They know.
Nobody else will recognize
no one
it.
else would know. Just our family and friends.
And today what we're going to talk about is something I've heard from somebody that suggested that we do a show dealing with family members who have relatives with mental illness. You know, like sons or daughters with mental illness.
Well, before we start, we're not affiliated with Journey of Hope in any way.
No, we're not affiliated with any. I'm Bob Bienvenu, and I am interviewing Jacob White, a fantastic guy who works for AOC, and he knew my co-facilitator who started my Insight into Mental Health program with me, my best friend ever, Jamie Ballou, and Jacob would like to say a few things about Jamie.
Oh man, I miss Jamie. I know Bob misses him more, but Jamie was a light in this place. And you know, whenever he would come in, we would always cut up. We'd always have a great time together. And you know, he like me like to talk smack about the power structure and the powers that be. And I will miss Jamie. We all miss Jamie around here. And God bless. Rest in peace, Jamie Ballou.
And Jacob, what about computers? What about...
Oh, you say Richard's a whiz at computers. Jamie's a double whiz. Jamie really knew his stuff. Well, Jamie worked in the field for a long time. I think he was out in California working for a while.
Yeah.
And probably I think that contributed to, you know, some of the mental health issues that he had. You know, it's a crazy world out there in Silicon Valley and California. So
Yeah.
we all miss Jamie, man. We wish he was still here, but we know he's in a good place.
Thank you, Jacob.
Thank you, Bob.
I'm Bob, the host of Insight into Mental Health, where me and my best friend ever, Jamie Ballou, had started Insight into Mental Health 11 years ago, and Jamie passed away about 5 years ago, and this is a tribute to him. And we're asking Richard Phelps, my associate producer of Insight into Mental Health and co-host, what he thought of Jamie.
Well, I first met Jamie back in about 2008 and found out he was a computer expert, more than I could have possibly ever known. He did programming, but he also dealt with a lot of mental health issues, So he would have his good days and his bad days. The bad days, he just didn't want to be around anybody. He was kind of cranky. The good days, he would come here and help out on the show. I have a lot of memories coming in on the set with Bob, and they could chat on mental health issues for 2 hours if they had wanted to. And he had some struggles, and we lost him the last week of December of 2009. It was the toughest funeral I ever had to go to, and we were all there for Jackie Ballou, his mom. And we keep his memory alive every year on the show. We have a little memorial for him in remembrance.
Thank you, Richard. And thank you, Richard.
It's been a long time now, but about 10 years or so ago, I should probably be able to tell you. But Jamie Ballou came in along with his good friend Bobby Avenue, walked into AOC and said they were interested in doing a program about issues that were really personal and important to them, and that's what AOC is for. So of course we helped him get that program going, and very quickly during his program, between the two of them, and Jamie was particularly good at this. He let the public understand and know in a real, sincere, and personal and inside look at what it's like to have a mental illness, what you can do to deal with that mental illness, and he laid it on to me several times that it was troubling that people had a bad interpretation of him based on a mental illness and couldn't look past the fact they knew he had it, even though he would look to be completely normal. As soon as he disclosed that he had a mental illness, people started shunning him almost right away, and that troubled him deeply. But he worked hard to let people know that mental illness is not anything you got to be afraid of. You don't have to be particularly cautious around these kind of people. They're just like the rest of us. And in fact, if you knew how many people in your immediate vicinity had sincere and legitimate mental problems, you'd probably be a whole lot more sensitive. And heck, the chances are I'm talking to somebody who has some themselves. But in remembrance of my old buddy James, Jamie, we called him, and his friend and my friend too, Bobby Avenue, they both taught me a whole lot of things. It was a real good deal to know, and to still know Bob. But Jamie, we all met.
Open anyway.
No, we're not affiliated with any of the organizations.
Yeah.
It's just me and Jamie are freelance, and the rest of our crew are freelance. Josh Haney, Cassie, Neil House, what's the director? Ryan, Judy's.
Ryan Lejern.
Ryan Lejern. I'm sorry. Last name Ryan, and Sam, who works for AOC, and of course Mr. Ed Bowie, who runs everything backstage.
Yeah, hey Ryan, it's cutting off at the bottom again. Remember last time we had the problem with the graphics that they cut off at the bottom?
Yeah. Anyway, and
you might notice the graphics have gotten a lot better recently with the new program that AOC bought.
Yeah, the new program is really good. I think we give a lot of credit to our new director who has come on board. He's really helped us with that. And also Ed Bowie, who's helped us with that, the director. Now, like I said, today we're going to talk about family members of someone who has mental illness. And the family's role as a caregiver is very important in maintaining the mental health of the person with the mental illness. And if anyone wants to call, they can call. If you, those new to mental illness, those who just realize that they have a relative that has mental illness, usually family members, like a son or a daughter, and they have to realize what their caregiver role is, and they also have to rely heavily on the medicine to solve what they hope will be a limited and curable problem in the life of a loved one. With them, the family members learning the role as a caregiver. Whereas if they have a male, a father, and a female, and a mother, like according to statistics and research from what I've learned from books and also on the net, that men aren't as good at caregivers as women because men are more into social problems, into solving problems with the logic. Is that a phone call?
No, Josh said buzzing in his headset.
Okay, and while women seem to stick to it and they're more caregiver oriented, whereas men and women are not wired the same. So, but men can do a good job too, but not as well as women can. Anyway, when you're dealing with this as a caregiver, you have to revise expectations. Most caregivers must confront the reality that a loved one's mental illness will not disappear. That's one thing they have to face.
To be a caregiver, you could be a caregiver to help your mother who has cancer. That would be a caregiver.
Yes.
It doesn't have to involve a mental issue.
No, it doesn't. But like I've researched, it's hard to be a caregiver to somebody who is sick. But it's doubly hard or triply hard to be a caregiver. Triply. How you like that?
You just make that word up?
Yeah.
Tripoli.
That's the name of a city in France or something. Tripoli, the road to Tripoli.
That's not the Middle East, Tripoli?
Maybe the Middle East. Might be Middle East.
I don't know, but it's pretty funny words you made up.
Yeah, but that's just a little analogy from Bob. But anyway,
Tripoli.
Wait, I forgot myself.
You're still talking about caregivers and women being better at it than men. Then we stopped somewhere around in there. What's the last paragraph you note here?
Okay, you stumped me when you said that. Finding
Legitimate mental problems.
Open anyway.
must confront the stuff about my former friend, I guess still a friend, Jamie. Me and Jamie became good friends. We started going to the Bridges support group, and that run by Denver Nobles at that time, and we became friends. And Denver has since moved up to NAMI. Great guy, Denver. And me and Jamie became good friends. And I can remember us, me, Jamie, and this guy Josh, riding around when I had my SUV at 3 in the morning when guys my age had ate their cookies at 9 o'clock and went to bed. And here I was at 3 in the morning riding the streets, the roads with 2 guys half my age. Those were some fun days back then.
Where did you all hang out for food?
I don't remember where we'd go. One time we went in Iberia and ate at Waffle House.
Hey.
We would eat at Mel's, a few places.
Duffy? Did you ever hit Duffy's?
No, we didn't hit Duffy. We used to go to a support group where Jamie came with Ron Mayu back then, and we'd go to a support group in Iberia, and we hit Duffy's after. And me and Jamie would go, yeah.
I remember Ronnie Mayu, by the way.
Yeah, poor
About
Ronnie.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
We got to give credit to Jackie Ballou, Jamie's mom, for underwriting this show.
Yeah.
She has been our anchor for the last how many years?
7 years or whatever. Miss Jackie is a wonderful lady, and she's always there to help me, man. She bends over backwards for me. I love Miss Jackie to death, man. She's a sweet lady. She's one of your real people, You know how in this world you have difficult people and not too kind people? Miss Jackie is one of the real people out there, class act lady. And we salute you, Miss Jackie. And of course, I salute your son, Jamie, and he was a great guy. And of course, this is the Christmas season that we lost Jamie, and of course, during this Christmas season, there's a lot of people who have lost loved ones, and et cetera, et cetera, and I would like to say, depression, I'm going to read this, what I researched. Depression, loneliness, and anxiety during Christmas. According to Christians, a simple yet miraculous event occurred in the town of Bethlehem on what is now known as Christmas. A loving God with a plan for salvation entered the world through the birth of a child, Jesus. Today, Christians believe that a relationship with Jesus, who lived a perfect life, died for our sins, and was resurrected from the grave, guarantees our salvation from the eternal consequences of sin and death. Christmas celebrates the birth of the Savior and the beginning of God's plan to save mankind. But sadly, what is touted as the most wonderful time of the year is for many of us the most dreadful time of the year. Instead of joy, love, and peace, the Christmas experience is filled with loneliness, depression, and anxiety. Maybe this is true for you. Christians believe we were created with a need for a relationship intimacy by a God who desires relationships with us. In fact, according to the biblical account of the creation of the world, God noted from the beginning that it is not good for mankind to be alone. Loneliness during a time when togetherness is emphasized can easily lead to depression. I do that a lot. I bother myself a lot. You know that, Richard.
But you find things to do.
I find things to do. But, of course, I've got my spiritual strength. But anyway, feeling isolated from others can bear down on us and unfortunately pave the path for feelings of despair and sadness. On the other hand, the pressure to be together physically during the holidays, even if we're not prepared to do so emotionally, can have the same effect. This is happening when you feel that sense of dread about being together. This dread often gives way to guilt and depression over our own lack of excitement about being with certain friends or family members. Keep on reading. That's good stuff.
That's good stuff. And again, there are those who are experiencing these holidays without any family or friends. And there are phone numbers you can call. I'm going to look up one called the Warm Line for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And locally, there is 232-HELP or 4357. And there are, statewide 211. There will be people that are trying to lock you into some counselors over the phone if you're really going through a dark time. And in a couple of minutes, I'll have the number for the Warm Line, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Okay. Thank you, Rich.
I'll bring that up and just give you a heads up when I find that.
Holidays can also trigger feelings of grief associated with relationship loss, such as death or diminished capacity due to illness. Holiday traditions just don't feel the same. We may feel guilty, like we are dishonoring the missing family member or friend by celebrating Christmas without them. Mm-hmm. Time, sensitivity, and patience are required to allow for grief and adjustment. We can demonstrate empathy for others by understanding a person's need to grieve. For some, it's the post-holiday adjustment that triggers loneliness and depression. Visitors go home and the reality of being alone sets in. Long stretches of time between holiday visits can easily foster feelings of aloneness. Consistent periodic visits between the holidays can help relieve these feelings. But loneliness and depression aren't the only negative feelings many of us struggle with during the holidays. Anxiety plays a starring role in many people's holidays experience. Society's approach to Christmas focus mainly on secular features, missing its religious and eternal significance. The beautiful, quiet miracle of Jesus' birth has become a complex economic sideshow that starts a little earlier this year. We barely make it to the end of October before we are bombarded by Christmas decorations and pre-Christmas sales. Excessive pressure to find fantastic gifts to create impressive decorations, to prepare the perfect meal, and to push budgets to their breaking points generates stress. We put so much pressure on ourselves and set such high expectations that our joy is often diminished by unavoidable anxiety and inevitable disappointment. Here are some steps to reduce loneliness, depression, and anxiety during the holidays. Loneliness, depression, and anxiety can quickly overtake the peace intended to be found in the holiday season. Just look at the faces around you during the holidays. Do you ever notice that the joy is missing from many of them, perhaps from your own? So what's the solution? Here are a few steps that may help you reduce the negative feelings associated with the holidays. As is always the case, change takes time. Here they are. You ready for this, Richard?
Yes.
Set simple and realistic expectations for the holidays. What's your realistic expectations for the holidays?
Well, I would avoid the mall and all the traffic and try to make a gift myself for just a few people, not go out and put everything on the credit card or the debit card. There's just too much materialism going on, and the whole point of the season is religious. It's not all this prosperity and materialism. So I think instead of trying to outgive somebody else, and it doesn't have to be something material, you could do something for somebody for Christmas. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There are people in nursing homes that have no family, and I witnessed that personally when our church group went to one of the nursing homes on Evangeline Thruway. There was a gentleman who was a World War I veteran, and we made his day because we were the only people he had seen that whole week. The family had just kind of ignored him, and he had stories to tell, I remember to this day, what it was like to be in World War I. Mm-hmm. So maybe something like that is an alternative. Yeah. Don't overeat. And I'll tell you, that's a tough one to do here in Acadiana because there's so much dinners and good restaurants. Mm-hmm. But try to make a change to lower down all your activity. Get exercise. Like, hey, if it's not too cold around Girard Park, walk around that nice gravel pathway around there. Do something different this year. Yeah. And thank you, Richard. Okay, how about this that you were talking about? Identify people to spend the holidays with. Remember my earlier statement that we are created with a need for intimacy. Mm-hmm. None of us do well in the long term without relationship intimacy. Distance and conflicting schedules may prevent us from spending the holidays with family, but that doesn't mean we have to be alone. Right. Identify others who are separated from family and celebrate the holidays together. Like it's gonna be you and Cheryl and probably Nellie and Brandon. Right. And we may not even exchange gifts, although some may send us some gifts, but again, the whole point is focus on the real meaning, not the materialism. Yeah, on friendship. You know, friendship and family. If you don't have family, you know, like some people are closer to friends than they are to family. Exactly. You know, and be with your people that you care about and love. And if you can't do that, if you are by yourself, go to one of those diners, like St. Joseph diners, and volunteer, or like Richard said, go to nursing home and talk to the people, you know, if you're lonely. I mean, believe me, you know, if you have your health and you're lonely, I'll have my health and I'm lonely, but I got great health thanks to that incredible creator of the universe, Jesus Christ. I am so fortunate, and I'm a guy that has not had much love in my life, hardly any, mostly abuse and rejection and abandonment
and betrayal. But, you know, since I found my relationship with Jesus, I can manage. And I have one of the worst of all the mental illnesses known to man, paranoid schizophrenia, which is a heinous illness that creeps up every now and then. But with my relationship, my spiritual relationship, I'm able to have a life. And I'm just saying that. But if you're by yourself, maybe you could go somewhere, huh, Richard?
And yes, I got that number, by the way.
Okay.
It's the warm line for National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1-800-730-8375. And in case you were just catching this, the number is 800-730-8375. Or if you can get to a computer or even a tablet or a phone, cell phone, the website is www.nami.org. That's National Alliance on Mental Illness. They have a whole section about dealing with the holidays on there that's very useful. And again, you don't have to be lonely during the holidays. There are support groups in addition to NAMI in this area. There are houses of worship. There are volunteer organizations you can get involved in. I can think of a couple offhand. Salvation Army. They always need help. Goodwill. Just look around. But if you can't get all of anybody, try that WARN number I just gave you a minute ago.
And I would like to say, if you can't do any of that, and you know, like, of course we know it's a tough world now. It's more tough than it's ever been. Mm-hmm. And if you're all by yourself, and like I always say, we have all been brokenhearted, we have all been betrayed, we have all been abused, we have all been rejected, we have all been neglected, we have all been through that. We have been through it. And a lot of people, especially people with mental illness, who mostly live in poverty, or might be mad at God and say, how can a God that that is so loving let this happen to me? You know, and you might hate the Lord, but I just ask you to say to Jesus, say, God, or even if you don't believe in him, say, God, if you're there, let me know. And most certainly I know in my heart and my own reality, he will let you know that he is real. You know, I've seen too many miracles. I'm a walking miracle. Richard's a walking miracle.
I shouldn't be here. I was born at 1 pound, 12 ounces, 3 months premature. Now get this, 12 inches long. And I, a while back, got the notes that the doctor and nurse were keeping. They said a month later, I had gone down to 1 pound and 7 ounce, less than a 5% chance of making it. Stuck in the incubator for 6 months. Well, here I am.
Yes.
Somebody obviously wanted me around.
Yes. And that's our Creator.
And the interesting thing is, you just don't know who you're going to run into. I know a musician friend whose mom ran into a friend of his, and because of that connection, their band is going to have more variety and more music.
Yeah.
You just don't know who you're going to run into, especially here at AOC.
Yeah.
There are people we've met here that have come on the show.
Yeah. Well, and just giving a plug for AOC, this is an opportunity, a station where you pay $35 and you can be on TV like us, you know? Thanks to Miss Jackie Blue buying our memberships, and dear as she is, we have our own TV show. And if you're out there and you want to do something, if you want to create something, come to AOC, talk to Ed Bowie. He is the station manager, a heck of a guy, nice guy, man. He'll help you and the people over here. William McFarland, his wife Jennifer, Joe, Skip,
I can't remember all the names. There's some other
Bethany, Jacob White, all the crew, I can't remember them all, but they're wonderful people, and they'll help you as much as they can. And you'll have access to cameras. You can go out and film, and you can put it on TV, on this TV, and then it's a wonderful outlet, you know. Our director, Lucy, started doing the job as our director. She loves it, you know. So, you know, it is a wonderful outlet, and it might lead to a career.
And they will provide training through classes that are ridiculously cheap. You go out anywhere else, you're going to see some major money required for those classes. So there's even an internet radio station here.
Yeah.
If you're more into the audio side. So
Yeah.
the door is wide open here, folks. I mean, I don't even know a quarter of what is to learn here. And I'm going to try to start taking some classes next year. New Year's resolutions, do I hear that?
Yeah, we're coming on the new year.
Wow.
Okay, here's coming up with some other things. This is avoid using the holidays as an opportunity to address family conflict.
Oh, boy.
You want to get along, you know. Do your best to get along with your family. I've seen so many movies, like Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase, where they don't get along. You know, this comedies, you know, but you know, do your best to get along. I mean, this is a special time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jesus is known more. The word Jesus is known more in the world than any other name. It is a sacred name, and this is a time to be joyful, and we're trying to spread joy to people out there who are alone. And let me, like Richard was saying earlier, volunteer to help others during the Christmas holiday. Volunteering, like he said, volunteering through community organizations and churches. Churches are great. It's a great way to be around others during the holidays. Volunteer is an opportunity to give the gift of service while simultaneously reducing isolation. Depression and anxiety are often fueled by heightening self-focus. Volunteering shifts one focus off self and onto others who are in need. Feeling powerless to impact change is common among symptoms of depression and anxiety. Impacting others positively through service can help to identify one's power to cause change. Recognizing such power can then be channeled into addressing one's own depression, anxiety, and loneliness. And finally, last of all, focus on the true meaning of Christmas and your relationship with God. God desires a relationship with us. Christmas is a great time to establish or renew our relationship with us. Though we may feel isolated, and I'm isolated and alone all the time. I do things and alone. We are reminded that God is always with us. The gift of a relationship with Jesus was given to all of us. While celebrating the holiday season, keep in mind that even if you're not, others may be struggling to find the holiday spirit. Mm-hmm. Make efforts to include those whom you know may be without friends or family in your festivities this year. Christmas is a celebration of God's love for us. One of the best ways we can commemorate and honor this is by showing our love for one another. Jesus himself said, "By this everyone will know that you are my disciple if you love one another." This Christmas, do your best to spread cheer and love in an authentic, sincere way. May your efforts grant one more person a Christmas that is merry and bright.
I just remember there's a movie that's come up called The Last Holiday, about a person who found out they only had 2 to 3 weeks to live, and I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Go on your search engine to look it up. It is on a paid site, but from what I hear, it's well worth watching.
Yes.
And I discovered a whole bunch of good movies on DVD that I didn't even know I had when I reorganized some things. So That might be kind of like a little cool Christmas present.
How much? Thank you, Richard. Thank you, sir. Richard's my best friend, Richard. I love Richard to death. If it wouldn't be for Richard, none of my books would be out. And I owe him a great deal of gratitude for that. We thank y'all for watching the show. We thank Jacob White, class act guy, man.
Awesome.
And then the class act people at AOC. You'll meet some wonderful people.
Well, come on, Jake, come on the set. Don't
Come
be
on,
shy.
Jake. We're missing Lucy. We wish Lucy good luck with the death of her father-in-law. This is Jacob White, class act guy, super person. We ask for prayers for Nellie and Brandon and Emily. And now I would like to say hello to Miss Betty Trail and Janae and Tyler. That's Patsy Bertrand's godchildren. And Patsy is a great lady. Miss Jackie, what can I say about you? You are the best. You're great. And like I said earlier, if you're all alone and have nobody, can't go out or anything, just ask God to show you that He's real, and He most certainly will, without any hesitation. We thank y'all for watching, and we wish y'all God bless. Thank you.
We did it.
How was the show?
Awesome sauce.
Yeah.